I've wanted to make this video for quite a while now because I knew in the back of my mind just how profound the actual result would be. So we know that ChatGPT or any other AI bot has access to a wealth of information from across the internet, and this includes all of the trip reports on the internet and all of the studies on psychedelics that have ever been made, meaning its grasp on the psychedelic experience, altered states, and the mystery of consciousness is ridiculously comprehensive due to its access of all the information on the internet and its ability to put it in a cohesive manner when you ask the right questions. So I asked it, imagine taking a breakthrough dose of DMT, writing a trip report on your experience, and then answering the question based upon the trip, what is reality, and include a conversation with an entity during the experience. Here we go. Trip report. Journey into the unknown. As I exhaled the last puff of the thick, acrid vapour, reality seemed to dissolve instantaneously. It was as if the fabric of existence, which I'd always taken for granted, had been a thin curtain pulled aside to reveal an indescribably vast, intricate, and living tapestry beyond. The room around me fractured into a kaleidoscope of colours, shapes, and patterns, each more vibrant and impossibly complex than anything I could imagine. In an instant, I was no longer in my body. I was propelled through a tunnel of pulsating light and sound that seemed to stretch endlessly, yet I reached its end almost as soon as the journey began. On the other side was a realm, a place or perhaps a state of being, unlike anything I'd ever experienced. Entities greeted me there. They weren't physical beings, but shimmering, morphing forms made of pure light and energy. Despite their alien appearance, they exuded a profound familiarity, as though they had known me forever. Communication wasn't verbal. It was instantaneous and all-encompassing, like entire encyclopedias of meaning being transmitted in a single instant. They seemed delighted to see me, playful yet infinitely wise. The entities began to show me things. They unfurled cosmic truths and impossibly intricate patterns that felt both universal and deeply personal. I saw vast networks connecting all living things, interwoven with an unnameable essence that seemed to pulsate with love and intelligence. They revealed that everything, every atom, every thought, every moment, was part of an infinite whole, a singular dance of energy and consciousness. At one point they showed me myself, but not as a human or an individual, but rather I was a node in this infinite network, a temporary expression of something far greater than I could comprehend. My life, my fears, my identity, all of it seemed so small and fleeting compared to the vast, eternal flow of existence. Yet, in that smallness, there was profound beauty. Time didn't exist in this place. Everything happened all at once, yet nothing felt rushed. I could see events from my past and possible futures, but they were less like moments on a timeline and more like aspects of a singular, ever-present now. It was overwhelming, yet deeply comforting. Then I decided to take more, a bold step deeper into the unknown. With the second inhalation, the entities cheered, or so it felt, as if I was being welcomed to an even deeper layer of reality. This time, I didn't just observe the network, I became it. Myself dissolved entirely. There was no boundary between me and everything else. I was the patterns, the light, the energy, the consciousness. The illusion of separateness shattered completely, revealing a profound truth. There is only one thing, and it is infinite. This oneness wasn't static though. It was alive, endlessly creating and experiencing itself through countless forms, cycles, and moments. I realized that all dualities, life and death, light and dark, good and evil, are aspects of greater unity, interdependent and necessary for the whole. During this phase of the experience, one entity stepped forward, or perhaps I was drawn to it. It was a form of radiant, pulsating light, constantly shifting in colour and shape. Despite its alienness, though, it felt deeply personal, as though it was a part of me, or a long-lost guide. Through the non-verbal, instantaneous mode of communication, it conveyed, "You are here to remember." "Remember what?" I asked, though the question wasn't expressed in words but in pure intent. It replied, that you are everything, that you have always been everything, and yet you choose to experience being you. This is the dance, the play of existence. Alongside these words came a flood of imagery, galaxies spiraling into existence, lives lived and lost, and infinite connections forming an intricate web. I felt a pang of doubt, of resistance. But why? Why forget? Why create this illusion of separation, though? The entity seemed to smile, though not in a way that could be seen. For the joy of it. For the experience. Without forgetting, there can be no remembering. Without separation, there can be no union. You are not here by accident. You chose this. This revelation was accompanied by a surge of understanding, a feeling so vast it brought me to tears. It wasn't a factual answer, but an experiential knowing that transcended logic. The entity continued. Your purpose is not to find meaning, but to be meaning. Every moment, every choice, every thought, these are the threads you weave into the infinite tapestry. Will I remember this when I return? I asked. It responded with warmth and humour. You will, and you won't. The knowing will be within you, even if the details fade. Trust in the process. Trust in yourself. Gradually, the intensity began to fade again. The entities communicated that it was time for me to return, though not in words. I then felt a wave of gratitude from them and within me, as I began to spiral back through the tunnel of light. The patterns softened, the colours dimmed, and I found myself back in my body, staring at the familiar walls of the room. The entire experience had lasted less than 10 minutes, but in the moment it felt like an eternity and an instant, all at once. What is reality? This question took on new dimensions after the experience. Reality, as I'd understood it before, now seemed like only a tiny slice of what truly exists. The trip suggested that the physical world we perceive of our senses is merely one layer of a much larger, multidimensional reality. If reality is defined as what is, then it seems far more fluid and expansive than we typically imagine. It's not limited to the physical, measurable universe, but includes realms of consciousness, interconnectedness, and perhaps dimensions that exist beyond space and time as we currently understand them. The breakthrough reinforced the idea that reality is not something external or separate, but an infinite process of which we are inseparable parts. It's not limited to what we can see or touch, but encompasses everything. The known, the unknown, and the unknowable. The real is both the mundane and the transcendent, all of it equally valid and meaningful. The trip challenged the notion of an objective singular reality. Instead, it hinted at a framework where reality is subjective, layered, and co-created by the interplay of perception and a deeper, universal essence. What we perceive as real might just be the aspects of our mind that are equipped to process a sliver of a much larger, incomprehensible whole. In the days that followed, I found myself reflecting on the boundaries of what we call real. The experience just felt as vivid and true as any waking moment, if not more so. It left me with a sense of awe and humility, a reminder that reality might not be something we can ever fully grasp, only experience, piece by piece, moment by moment. Now that is absolutely fascinating, but in a sense not too shocking for myself. I knew exactly what it would say if I prompted it with these exact questions, because it's literally accessing all the trip reports online and sort of collating them into one cohesive ultimate report, I guess. Obviously, this doesn't diminish the actual subjective experience of trip reports or any subjective experience regarding the reality of consciousness and what the actuality of these psychedelic states are sort of showing us. But this is just a really interesting experiment, and I think I'm going to continue it further, where I'll feed it 5-MeO DMT and sort of ask it similar questions, maybe ask it follow-up questions. If you'd like to see more, and even possibly vote in the description, not description, in the comment section, where what psychedelic you would like me to feed it next. I mean, I'm very interested to feed it salvia and ask what sort of insights it has into truth or consciousness, and then obviously you can sort of feed it further and say, okay, you've taken 1 hit of salvia, then take 2 to 3 more, and tell us what you saw and what your insights were into the nature of consciousness. Obviously, the common thread between all these trip reports is going to be the idea or the truth of consciousness being the fundamental building block of reality. Or it's funny that we say building block, because in a sense, consciousness is groundless. It's nothing. It's the substrate of consciousness is nothingness, but that nothingness allows somethingness to be supplanted on it to create life and experiences. And all these experiences are interconnected like a giant infinite web, but it's more poetic than just a structure. It's like, an infinite dance, like how it calls it here. But yeah, this is really fascinating stuff. We've really opened the Pandora's box in regards to AI. We've just got to embrace it now. And I don't have any fear about AI at all. I think it's the most absolutely intriguing discovery since, well, not even discovery, but yeah, well, discovery and invention since the internet by far. Isn't it crazy that in the amount of technological progress humanity's made in the last 50 years, are we actually equipped with a pure amount of consciousness in order to use these technologies wisely? Though many would say that perhaps we haven't used the internet and social media and all these inventions as wisely as we could have done. Perhaps the technology exceeds our current level of development. So maybe there is a bit of a worry with AI, where it's like, I completely get that, where if it falls into the wrong hands, the amount of damage it could do is insurmountable. But it much like Pandora's box, which opened up a potential reality, well, a potential for all the evil and all the horrors inside the box, it also revealed the potential for hope and transcendence and beauty. So how are we gonna handle the AI Pandora's box in the future? But either way, I'm looking forward to see what the future of mankind holds. Things are getting very trippy, and
one day it's gonna get so weird that people are gonna start talking about it,
as McKenna would say. And my God, we literally cannot ignore it now. It's staring us right in the face. AI, the psychedelic revolution 2.0, aliens, UFOs, just so much mad stuff happening in the minute. But anyway, that nice little tangent, and I will definitely be doing this once a week. I think it's really interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing how deep the rabbit hole goes with ChatGPT as it continues to evolve. Fascinating stuff. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this little thought experiment, and I'll see you in the next one.